Hi everyone, this is Selvi. Today's topic is related to combination of work items in the sprint backlog. We have already talked about what is sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is a subset of product backlog, and this sprint backlog is valid for the period of the sprint. So it actually gets created on the day of the sprint planning, that is day one of the sprint, and it gets closed by last day of the sprint. Whether whatever the sprint backlog items are completed or not, whatever may be the status, the sprint backlog will be done. Okay, so now we are creating a sprint backlog on the sprint planning day. What should be the combination of work items that we need to ensure in the sprint backlog? Why a combination is required? Only we can work on the priority items, right? Why always there is a combination which is mandatory? It is mandatory. Okay, let's take a very simple thing in our day-to-day activity itself. Like, say for example, if I am planning a lunch meal for me or for any of my friends or family, I'll always ensure that I am keeping different items so that it's a balanced diet. It should not be so overwhelming that I'm just keep on adding so many items in the dessert and or so many items with respect to fruit juice. It should not be like that. It should be a combination of everything so that we can call that meal as a balanced diet. So the same kind of balance we want to think in the angle of sprint backlog also. What will happen if I don't have that balance? What is the disadvantage? Let's take some examples on real scenarios, right? In the project execution, every sprint, when tester is testing the functionality, sometimes they find nice to have functionalities. They write it as defects or bugs, but I actually speaking, they are nice to have functionalities. We may not have the actual time to fix those nice to have things at that particular moment, but we can keep it in the product backlog and think through those things in the later part whenever we have some capacity to pick it up. And it is not only necessary with nice to have functionalities, it can also be like low priority defects. The defects that are blocking the functionality or the defects that are blocking the story closure, we will give more priority and fix it so that we are getting unblocked. But what will happen to the low priority defects? We tend to keep those things in the product backlog and it will be there for long time. But when are we going to clean that? One fine day we will be looking at our product backlog and it will have hundreds of defects, and then we realize no, we need to clean it up because we are going to have a release and we cannot have these many defects in our system, and we want to somewhere take care of this. That moment what we will do, we will plan our upcoming sprint only for defects, only for defect fixing. Is this a right option? Definitely it is not a right option. But how can it be rectified? There is a solution that we will talk about about the combination. One more option, let's try about other practical scenarios where we will get these kind of issues. We are working on the product, we are slowly building the product with different functionalities that business is looking for, but team also found actually good number of functionalities, or they have different ideas. When they are developing a functionality, they are suggesting some ideas, but those ideas need some time for them to get into a definite shape so that we can talk to the business and ask like whether they are interested. But when are we going to invest the time for the team? We don't have if we are keep on working on only the priority items that are the functionalities required from the business point of view. So we need some kind of brainstorming activities, we need some kind of innovation topics. That team needs some dedicated time so that they can improvise on those ideas and bring it into a definitely a new feature. Then we can take that new feature recommendation to the business and look for more opportunities in the product. but we don't have time if we only work on the priority functionalities that business is looking for. Let's take one more scenario. For this also we have a solution. Okay, so a third use case what I want to talk about is sometimes like what happened, we always hear a lot of defects in particular functionality in our product. Like for example, there is something called a search functionality. We keep always hearing some kind of defects because there are certain places where we can still improve our product with, and even architecture team also has suggested that, but because of the priority functionality development work that what we are doing as part of user stories, we have not picked that up. But what is happening every time, the regression testing is giving us lot and lot of defects. Again, it is taking our time, plus we are keeping that kind of like improvement areas in the system even though we are aware of, because we need to find some definite time for that to make that as a bug free module. So what can we do for that? There is an option already suggested by the architecture team to refactor the code for that particular module, but we have not planned it at all. Why can't we do that? Are we going to keep that at the moment till that search functionality is completely blocked, and then we will dedicate our entire team effort to fix that so that our release is not getting blocked? That's not a solution, right? So somewhere we need to prioritize that also, even though it is not going to deliver a requirement or a functionality that according to the priority recommended by the business, but still this is also important. So now these all use cases, there is one solution which is something called as right combination of work items in the sprint backlog. What is that? So whenever a sprint backlog is getting created, we need to ensure how we are making that sprint backlog. Is that having a balanced work items, or is it only targeting something? As I said, it should not target only on defect fixes, it should not target on only technical bugs, it should not talk about only innovation areas, or it should not talk about only functionalities. So somewhere we need to bring that balance, somewhere we need to make the right combination. That right combination is nothing but, there is a simple rule for that, which is nothing but 15, 5, 10. What is 15, 5, 10? 15% of your team's capacity you can invest for technical depths. 5% of your team's capacity you can invest for defect fixing. 10% of your team's effort, team's capacity you can invest for innovation or exploration topics. When the sprint backlog is getting created, we know what is the team's capacity, with what capacity the team will be going to execute this sprint backlog. We are aware of that. So what we need to do, we need to ensure we are properly accommodating these different work items in these capacity values. Is it mandatory to have 15, 5, 10? No, it is a guideline. Why this guideline is available? This is to remind us, please take care of all the work items when you are creating the sprint backlog. But it is not mandatory to go with the 15, 5, 10. It is just a guideline. It can also vary, depends on the situation of the product. For example, you may not have technical depth items, but your release is getting very closer and you have good number of defects, so you want to balance that out, add more number of defects in that case and reduce the capacity for technical depths. And you are going to have some kind of recommendation meeting with your business team, and you want to really put some effort in sharing some of the new topics after brainstorming. Please accommodate more time and invest more time on the innovation topics, so that you will be able to find some good number of features which are actually missing today, and you can give that as a suggestion to your business. So this is this is a recommendation and guideline, but this guideline will always help us whenever we are creating the sprint backlog. We should ensure that we are bringing the right combination or not. But this is again customizable. The reason with whatever the project condition right now is, according to that, this can be very well changed. But it is always recommended to have all the options in your sprint backlog. So with this kind of sprint backlog, when we create with this combination, always it is a balanced one. Even in your product backlog, you will not see so many number of defects, because every time your defect count is getting reduced, which means every sprint you are taking some 5% of the team capacity for defects, and you are fixing certain defects. So defect number will not grow, instead it will start reducing. Same way, you are picking up some innovation topic, pick that up as spike, and you are working on that, so that you are able to see some kind of progress, and you are able to see some new backlog items getting derived because of this innovation. And you are not waiting for some module to really break. Before that, you are looking for some refactoring, you are finding some architectural items to introduce. So these all things are happening parallelly. We are not waiting really things to happen so that we will react. It is not like that. It is more of a prevention action. Before even things go wrong, we are trying to ensure that we are balancing out, so that there are no defects with huge number in the backlog, there is no burning technical depth item, there is no immediate innovation topic that need to be taken care, because we are every time taking care of all these items. So we don't get into any kind of situation where we need to dedicatively use one sprint for any of these topics. So this is one of the very, very important recommendation and guideline which we need to really take care when we are making our sprint backlog. And this will really help us, and team also will be really motivated, because they are going to have a balanced backlog to execute. So these are the points I just want to share about the combination of work items in the sprint backlog. Hope this episode would have helped many of you in understanding the sprint backlog combination. Happy learning. Thank you, and stay tuned.